I'm just gonna stare into the camera, like it's a
the way to know what's going on.
Because I have to get on an airplane in approximately 3 hours, and I am just chip chiroo about that one.
I was thinking about you this morning, Brad, as I was making coffee, and I was thinking to myself, we have what I would describe as a normal male relationship in that we make fun of each other on a nearly constant basis. Mm-hmm. But this is one area where I don't feel okay doing that. I legitimately feel bad for what you're doing. Like, well, I would not want to do this. This falls into like almost the same area as your medical procedure from when we didn't go to Africa. Like
almost that bad. That's pretty high up on your list.
Yeah.
But things that aren't bad is today's show is brought to you by Smart Deploy. These folks right back here, Paul over there. I'm tickling myself right there, which is actually really weird. But anyways, they allow IT to deploy one golden image to any computer model in just minutes. Check them out, smartdeploy.com/therot. Paul, actually, I woke up to 2 surprises today. 2 of them.
What's that? Look, it's a dog.
We'll get to the second one second, because that would be logical. My favorite email app, Newton, now has a calendar app.
Really?
Yes.
Oh. Now, I knew they said they were going to work on that, but I was thinking June 2018 or something.
So it's only on the phone right now. I'm hoping I haven't harassed them. If I don't know, it's going to come to PC, but I mean, you can kind of see it here. Well, you can't see it because it's still a black hole.
I can't see it here, but it looks great.
Yeah. Couple things to note right now. It only supports Gmail accounts. So Google stuff. If you're using an Outlook calendar, you are currently hosed. I mean, it looks nice. It's a calendar. I'm hoping that they do the same thing that they did with their email app, where they bring it to the Windows Store. And then I will be liking it a lot more. Obviously, and I'm going to need Outlook.com email support as well, which I would have to think is coming because, again, they support that through their email app. So,
yeah, it's nice.
I don't know if you have to be paying for this or if it's just free or how this works, but I pay for their email. So,
now you pay for your email, right?
Yeah.
And how much is that?
It's $40 for the year. So if they try to charge me for a freaking calendar, I might lose it.
That might be the end of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Them rolling a calendar service or whatever you want to call that into there makes it start to make some sense, maybe, or more sense. I don't know.
Yeah. So if you've been waiting for that, like I have, it's sort of there. It's half featured right now, but that is available. So
cool.
Speaking of things, Paul, that are half featured, I'm saddened this morning, not because I'm getting on a flight, but so at about 6:30 this morning, I ran downstairs and I got the PUBG PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds started. I downloaded it. Then we got my kid up. We took the kid to school, came home to play it, and then servers were down for an hour for maintenance, which was very conveniently timed for a launch day. Thanks, guys. And then I've played 2 games. And I got to tell you, I can't really recommend anyone buy this yet. That's amazing. Bad. It's pretty bad. Now, I am not on an Xbox One X, so maybe it runs a little bit better on that console. But maybe. First off, so if you're not familiar with the game, how it works is everybody starts on an island, and they put 99 people on that island, and so frame rate is trash there. That doesn't matter. And then you fly in on an airplane, and then you parachute out onto this island, then you run around and just try to survive. And I think I'm getting maybe 25 frames per second. This is just sort of a rough guess, but it is rough. The drawing of the assets in the game don't show up until you're really close. There's no aim assist for a controller, which is, if you're not familiar with that, if you're not familiar with that is, if you're shooting at somebody, and on a controller, it's really hard to kind of get it perfectly scoped in on the chest or whatever. So it'll kind of
it would be easier if people wouldn't move around so much. But yeah.
And so you don't realize how brutal that is until you play a game without it. And this does not have it. And not to mention, the controls in this game are very odd a little bit too. For example, reload, you have to hold down X for probably 1 second. It's like a long press because X is assigned to opening doors, and they
I don't know if you saw this, by the way, but somebody, Microsoft or the guys who make the game, published a multi-page document describing the controller layout It's like the schematics to like flying an airplane. It's like the most complicated controller controls I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's just disappointing. And now I know people are going to say it's a preview game, which it absolutely is, and they've got a lot of time.
Well, at least you don't pay for it.
Yeah, I just paid $30 in a hole for that one.
I'm sorry. Do you pay for it? Then you can complain.
Yeah. Well, no, that's true. And so, like, it shouldn't be out. Like, that's kind of my opinion, that they pushed it out because they said they would do it by the end of the year. But
okay,
if you've never played this game, don't get it yet. It's not worth it. It's a bad experience. It really is. PC is much better, and that's where I'm going to continue to play it for a while until they kind of get that shipped up. And yeah,
I would have already purchased it, but as I described to Brad before we started the podcast, I've turned my Xbox One X on for the first time in over a week, which is very unusual for me. And of course, it has to install an update, so I'll be a while before I can even browse the store. So maybe that was fortuitous.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would have to think that they're going to try to work on this, but I don't know.
Well, it seems to me like this is almost an ongoing experiment, work in progress or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's too bad. You think with all these months being on the PC, getting it on the Xbox would have been fairly straightforward, but I guess not.
You would think, but I mean, again, it doesn't run all that great on the PC either. The later updates have been a lot better, but it's just bad on the console, man. Like, it's the controller layout. Once you kind of figure it out, and you got to remember too, like, I'm very familiar with this game, so like trying to figure it out, trying to come in cold and having no idea how to play this would be rough. That's
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Oh, maybe I'll give it a pass and keep an eye on the reviews and see what changes over time.
Yeah, I should maybe I should write something up. I don't know if I'm gonna have time this morning. Maybe on the plane.
PUBG is a hot mess on Xbox.
It needs some
just
serious
something
love
that people need to know. I would say, yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah. And if you aren't aware, folks, this show's a little bit quicker today because Paul, have I told you I'm getting on a plane? Have I mentioned
that does sound vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
I actually got like a little chilly up my back when you said that. It might be because it's like 35 degrees in my office, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Sucks. But that's just terrible. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Yep. For Tech Tuesday today, Paul, you got your hands on a what?
Yeah, this is, I have to look at it to get the name right, but this is the Microsoft Surface USB-C to HDMI adapter. I believe it's a $40 part. If you've ever used a Surface device, you know that previous to Surface Book 2, they all came with a mini display port for the most part, and that requires a dongle for something. I mean, you're going to need something to get from that port to whatever the display is. Typically, I would say it was a mini display port to HDMI adapter, but now that they switched to USB-C, you can use this type of adapter instead. So I tested this yesterday in a variety of scenarios. It works as you would expect. I tested it on a 1080p external display, on a 4K external display. It's kind of this is more of a Windows thing, but I was interested to see when you went into extend mode, because this has changed in one of the recent versions of Windows 10. It used to go into extend mode by default, and now it goes into duplicate mode by default when you add an external display. And of course, when you do that, it actually behaves differently on the two different displays. It basically does a 3x2 display, letterboxed, scaled to some number. It depends on the display. If you go to extend mode, it will use the native resolution of the display, which is great. So I think on the 4K display, it's 3840 by 2160, I believe. And it scales it to like 300%, which sounds goofy, but honestly, on a display, I wonder if it isn't getting some metric from the device that it knows that it's a really big display. Because if this was a 27-inch display, I wouldn't want it scaled that much, but maybe it makes sense because of the size of the display. But it actually looked fine. Like kind of looking at this display and the 4K display, I was like, actually, those look kind of comparable. That was pretty decent. But I also tested it with the Acer mixed reality headset and motion controllers. And it's not going to be easy to show you this. Well, I can show it to you. It's just it requires this kind of, every mixed reality headset has these two ends, and it's just HDMI and USB, right? And obviously the HDMI is video out. This is how the display happens. And so on the Surface, you need this adapter to make this work. The only downside of this scheme is that the USB ports, because the Surface Book has 2 of them, are on the left side of the device, and the USB-C port is on the right side of the device. And if you kind of look at this, it just makes it. And actually, on your 15-inch version, it would be almost unusable.
Really?
Or very, very tight. But it works, and it works fine. And to answer the obvious question, this was my post, but yes, Surface Book 2, either version will work fine in the Ultra mode for Windows Mixed Reality. I would imagine that the hissing Cobra sound that I heard constantly while using it would be the case on your device as well, although yours is more powerful. If you, I don't usually ever hear the fan on this thing, but man, it just went to town. The entire time any mixed reality, anything was happening, they have that home thing you go to where you wander around this futuristic looking house. It was just, just really going at it. However, absolutely capable of handling it is from a, graphics power standpoint, whatever. So, look, the reality is if you either need this kind of thing or you don't. So if you're going to use an external display and you've owned a Surface device, you've always had a dongle of some kind, or at least a wire that went from, mini DisplayPort to something. You need it for this device too. And now it exists. And of course, you could probably use a third-party adapter of some kind. I haven't tested that, but the Microsoft one is available. And I think this is the only and the first, I think, USB-C accessory that Microsoft has ever made. Exciting.
Yeah, I was trying to think if there were any other ones, but I think you might be right.
I think so.
I was trying to think. I'm just trying to think about tomorrow's show because I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Right.
There's a possibility you might be solo. I don't know what my schedule is yet. Yeah, but it's We Help Wednesday though. You can handle that.
Is there a thread already?
No, I can put that up after the show. I was just trying to think. I was reading, so it looks like to use Newton Calendar, you actually have to be a Newton user.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that is who it would appeal to. I don't know that. I mean, especially now, they're probably just testing it, right?
Yep. So, there you go. You got anything else for today, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a number of things I'm working on, but I think the most interesting one I will be able to publish this morning, which is a look at alternate wireless carriers. I use Project Fi, which is an alternate wireless carrier for sure, but it's not available to most people because you have to have a Google or a very small list of other phones. Right. But because I test so many phones, I've been trying to think, I need to get SIMs into these things, and how can I do that cheaply? A year ago, I was spending about $165 a month on various wireless plans. I got that down to about $30 on Project Fi, and I don't want to add to that cost too much, but I do. The reality is, and I actually found some pretty cool things. So I'll put that up soon, or it will. No,
that's actually good to know. That's
some good options out there. And if I didn't do this for a living, well, I'd probably be on Project Fi. But if I couldn't use Project Fi, there are actually low cost things that are like Project Fi that make sense for almost anybody. So there's some good stuff out there.
I rarely say this, but I'll be looking forward to reading that, actually.
All right.
Because I'm strapped into Verizon, but there's no loyalty there.
You could use the Verizon network and pay somewhere around $30 or $40 a month.
Well, we shall. We'll see how that plays out. So.
Yes.
With that, folks, today's show is brought to you by Smart to Play, hardware-independent imaging software for businesses with 50 to 50,000 users. Check them out. Go to this page back here, smartdeploy.com/Thurrott. Grab your offers, and maybe I'll be here tomorrow. Maybe I won't. We'll find out. The show goes on. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and we'll catch you right back here next time on First Ring Daily.